Welcome to Adu Globe. Discover new ideas, learn exciting things, and be amazed every day. What if the war in Ukraine is not really about land, but about survival? What if the numbers we see on maps, tiny percentages of territory gained or lost, actually hide a much bigger story of collapsing economies, shifting global alliances, and the future of Russia itself? Imagine an operation that was supposed to last a few weeks, now stretching into years, draining soldiers, resources, and even morale. How does a country survive when every mile of land costs hundreds of lives? This video is not just about battle maps or daily headlines, it's about the hidden cost of a war that has reshaped Europe and the world. Could Putin's strategy actually be weakening Russia more than strengthening it? What happens to a nation when demographics decline, sanctions bite harder, and global support shifts away? And most importantly, how long can a country continue fighting a war where the price is higher than the prize? Stay with me, because in the next 20 minutes, we'll break down the facts behind the headlines, the real numbers of losses and gains, the economic reality behind the politics, and the long-term consequences no one talks about openly. By the end of this video, you'll see the war not just as a conflict between two countries, but as a turning point for global power itself. So ask yourself, is Russia winning, or is it silently losing everything for the smallest slice of Ukraine? The answer may surprise you. Since the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Russia has entered the most prolonged and costly conflict in its modern history. Independent reports confirm that Russian forces have made only marginal territorial gains. Around 18% of Ukraine's land remains under Moscow's control, yet the human and economic cost is staggering. Western intelligence estimates that Russia has suffered hundreds of thousands of military casualties, a loss not seen since World War II. For every square mile of Ukrainian territory captured, thousands of soldiers have been wounded or killed. This raises an unsettling question. How long can such a strategy be sustained? Beyond the battlefield, Russia's economy has been severely strained. International sanctions have cut access to global markets, frozen assets, and reduced trade with Europe, once Moscow's largest economic partner. The ruble has fluctuated wildly, foreign companies have left the country, and skilled labor migration has accelerated. Demographic decline, already a major issue before the war, has worsened as young men are either mobilized, leave the country, or never return from the front lines. Meanwhile, Ukraine, despite devastating losses, continues to receive Western military and financial support, keeping the conflict alive and unpredictable. This balance of minimal territorial gain against enormous national sacrifice forces us to ask, is Russia winning, or is it slowly bleeding itself into long-term decline? The outcome of this war will not only determine Ukraine's sovereignty but also reshape global power dynamics. Will Moscow's gamble on attrition break Ukraine, or Russia itself? War is not only measured in tanks destroyed or land gained, it is ultimately measured in human lives. Since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the world has witnessed one of the bloodiest conflicts in modern Europe. Behind every statistic lies a story. A young soldier who will never return home, a mother searching for her child, and families torn apart by violence. Estimates by Western intelligence agencies and independent monitors suggest that Russia has suffered hundreds of thousands of casualties, killed, wounded, or missing, since the fighting began. Ukraine, too, has paid a staggering price, with its defenders standing against a larger force at enormous sacrifice. These numbers are often contested, but one truth remains undeniable. The scale of loss is catastrophic. To understand the cost, consider this. Analysts estimate that Russia has lost more soldiers in Ukraine than the Soviet Union lost in a decade of fighting in Afghanistan. The intensity of the war has turned cities like Bakhmut and Mariupol into symbols of unimaginable destruction. For every square mile of land gained, thousands of lives have been lost, raising the painful question, is the price worth it? The human cost extends beyond the battlefield. Millions of civilians have been displaced, creating the largest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. Children are growing up under air raid sirens, schools are destroyed, and hospitals struggle to function under constant bombardment. The psychological scars will last for generations. Curiosity naturally arises. What happens to a nation when it sacrifices its youth in such numbers? Demographers warn of a lost generation, In Russia, where the death of so many young men could reshape the country's future for decades. Ukraine, meanwhile, faces the heavy burden of rebuilding both its cities and its population. Wars are often framed as struggles for territory or power, but the true battlefield is in human hearts and families. Every casualty statistic hides a name, a face, and a life story. And when the dust eventually settles, history will not only record the borders that shifted, but also the human price paid for those shifts. War never stays confined to the battlefield. Its deepest scars are often seen in the economy, the population, and the morale of ordinary people. In the current conflict, both Russia and Ukraine are experiencing consequences that could shape their societies for decades to come. For Russia, the economic toll is immense. Sanctions have tightened, thousands of international companies have left, foreign investment has dried up, and the ruble has been under severe pressure. While the government has introduced temporary measures to stabilize the situation, being cut off from global markets is a shock that will leave long-term marks. For ordinary citizens, rising prices and fewer job opportunities are already part of daily life. The demographic impact is equally serious. Millions of people have either fled the country to seek safety or to find better opportunities abroad. Among them are many of the nation's young and skilled professionals, creating a growing brain drain that weakens the labor market and undermines future growth. A shrinking, aging population is one of the most difficult challenges any nation can face. When it comes to morale, the picture is mixed. In the early days, government messaging and patriotic slogans gave some sense of unity. But as losses mounted and the true costs of the war became clearer, doubts began to spread. Families grieving the loss of loved ones are asking questions, and social media voices are increasingly challenging the official narrative. The human cost is harder to hide with each passing month. Taken together, these factors paint a complex picture: an economy under pressure, a population in decline, and morale that is slowly eroding. The key question remains: how long can a nation sustain this level of strain, and are the decisions being made today securing the future, or pushing it deeper into crisis? What lies ahead for Russia and Ukraine as this war stretches on? Could this conflict reshape not only their futures but also the balance of power in the world? These are the questions that many analysts, observers, and ordinary citizens are asking today. Russia faces an uncertain path. Its economy is under immense pressure, with sanctions tightening and resources draining. If this continues, can Moscow truly sustain such a costly conflict? Or will financial strain force new decisions in the Kremlin? On the other side, Ukraine, though supported by allies, has also paid a heavy price. Cities have been destroyed, families displaced, and generations scarred. Yet, the resilience shown by Ukrainians has surprised the world. Could this resilience eventually change the outcome of the war? Demographically, the war is shaping the future of both nations. Millions of Russians have left the country, seeking safety and opportunities abroad. If this trend continues, what will Russia look like 10 years from now? Will its workforce shrink to a point where recovery becomes nearly impossible? Ukraine too faces a demographic challenge, but with international support and reconstruction aid, could it rise stronger, perhaps even more integrated with Europe than before? Emotionally, both societies are undergoing a transformation. Russians are questioning the sacrifices being demanded of them, while Ukrainians are uniting around the dream of sovereignty and survival. Will these emotions forge a stronger national identity for Ukraine? Or will the weight of loss overshadow its spirit? The future remains clouded, but one truth stands clear: both nations are being tested in ways unseen in decades. This war is not only about territory, it is about identity, survival, and the kind of future their children will inherit. So, the real question for us all is this: what will remain after the guns fall silent? Ruins, or a chance for renewal? As we reach the end of this discussion, one question remains: what does the future hold for Russia, Ukraine, and indeed, the world? Every war leaves behind not just destroyed buildings, but destroyed dreams, broken families, and uncertain generations. We have seen how economies crumble under the weight of endless conflict, how populations decline, and how morale is shaken. But we have also seen resilience, courage, and the determination of people to rebuild their lives against all odds. Think for a moment. If so many resources, lives, and years are being sacrificed for just a fraction of land, what could those same efforts achieve if they were directed towards peace, progress, and prosperity instead? Could the energy spent on destruction have fueled innovation, education, or better healthcare? This is not just a regional issue, it impacts all of us. Global stability, economic markets, food supply chains, even future security, all are tied to the outcome of this war. And here lies the true curiosity. Will leaders choose to continue down the destructive path of attrition, or will they finally realize the cost is far greater than the gain? Now I want to ask you, do you believe Russia can recover from the demographic and economic costs of this war? Do you think Ukraine's resilience will inspire other nations to stand stronger for their sovereignty? And most importantly, what lesson should the world take from this tragedy? Your thoughts matter. Share your perspective in the comments, because meaningful conversations can shape awareness, and awareness can shape change. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every click supports independent reporting and ensures that more people can access truthful, verified information rather than propaganda. Together, we can create a space where facts prevail over falsehoods, and curiosity leads to clarity. Stay informed, stay thoughtful, and let's keep questioning. What kind of future do we truly want to build? This video is created for educational and informational purposes only. It does not promote hate, violence, misinformation, or any harmful activity. All information is gathered from publicly available and verified sources. Viewers are encouraged to verify independently before forming any conclusion. The creators hold no responsibility for individual actions taken based on this content.